Here's a song called Always Make the Same Mistake. It's from the album Made Us Strangers. It's the new full-length one from the Young Novelists.
There's a river I see from my room that calls a young man to his doom. If he hangs his head, he's gone too soon. Oh, youth did not make you immune. The past is not burdened with proof, like the films I recall from my youth. And a young man dressed in his father's suit, I can make a lie from the hardest truth. And I always make the mistake, oh I always make the mistake. You were drawn to the clouds in his eyes. Lord knows what you saw in mine. A promise we could compromise. Oh, love is a foolish prize. We could claim a great many things. You were the song that I needed to sing, and the truth was you always wore his ring, and we were only borrowing. And I always make the mistake, oh I always make the mistake. I always make the mistake, oh I always make the mistake. There's a river I see from my room. I walk through the pale afternoon, and the birds still sing. I recall the tune. Perhaps I will see you soon. Perhaps I will see you soon.
That was the Young Novelists with Always Make the Same Mistake. It's from their Made Us Strangers album, and they're going to be playing at Roots on the River coming up June 4th. They're 6 o'clock on the big Saturday lineup. Graydon James, Laura Spink, and we've got Graydon on the phone with us.
Hey,
Do you want to talk a little bit about that song, Always Make the Mistake?
it's one that I was having a lot of difficulty trying to get a first line, and for some reason this happens to me a lot. I have difficulty trying to get a first line, and so I just stop and I go and have a shower, and then when I'm in the shower, I find a first line. And the trick is to try to remember it, so you're singing the same thing over and over to yourself in the shower so you don't forget it. If anyone wandered into our house while I was doing that, they'd be like, what is wrong with this guy? I just realized that I wanted to make the story about a love triangle. The story that was in my mind was of a certain sort of love triangle, but then because Laura sings it, I think it kind of adds a very different flavor to the story itself.
She's got the voice of an angel, that Laura does.
Yeah, she's quite an impressively awesome singer. It's great to just sing with somebody who brings everything up a notch. It's really wonderful.
Puts the pressure on you a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I'm doing what I can. I try my best. It's good to be challenged, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I'll leave that there. The band got together in Toronto back in 2009. Yeah.
Yes, we did. We actually started out because I had planned a tour, and I was just going to go solo, but then I realized that the album that I was touring with is a full band album, so I thought I should probably have a band. And it was a 2-week tour, and it was about 2 weeks before the tour began that I thought I should get a band together. So we basically rehearsed for 2 weeks, played shows for 2 weeks, and then we were a band.
And that was Graydon James and the Young Novelists, 6-piece.
Yes.
It went through what permutations, became a duo, the Young Novelists.
Yeah, well, the thing that started to happen was that Laura and I were touring more and more often as a duo. It just didn't make sense to be called Graydon James and the Young Novelists when there's only two people. And we kind of thought about it for a while and realized that it'd just be better to just drop the Graydon James part. I think it works as a name, whether we're a duo, whether we're a band, whether it's two people or more.
So occasionally you do both.
Yes. We're actually coming to the States for the first time as a full band in January of 2017. So that'll be kind of exciting.
The performances as a duo, there's nothing missing.
It's something that we certainly spend a lot of time thinking about and spend a lot of time rehearsing. It's different than, but, I don't think of it as being less or more.
You were a drummer before this.
Yes, I was.
How did that happen? I mean, you were kind of an indie drummer guy, and now you're fronting this folk thing.
Yeah, I started writing songs when I was a drummer, and a lot of drummers do this. You sort of learn a few other instruments just to kind of keep yourself in the game as a musician, because, you could just focus on percussion only, but I think it's, melody is a pretty important aspect. And I mean, I've always liked to sing. I've always liked to sing harmony stuff. So that's been really something that sort of drove me into the melodic world. I was writing songs, but not really thinking to do anything with them. And then I just ended up having a lot of bands kind of flake out in various ways.
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm going to do this seriously, then I think I have to be the person who's the engine that's kind of driving it. So initially, it was just solo stuff. It kind of grew from there, and it's been a wonderful thing.
I've been saying lately that any band with a cello is automatically my favorite band, but I'm changing that now to any band with a glockenspiel is automatically my favorite band.
Oh, that's good.
and a bowed glockenspiel at times at that.
Yeah, that's something that Laura she's been the impetus for that, for sure. We were playing a show in Connecticut with a band called Parsonsfield, and they're a really fantastic group, and they're like a bluegrass folk kind of group, and their bass player also plays some glockenspiel, and he also bows the glockenspiel. And we heard that sound, and Laura was like, that sounds a lot like the electric guitar swells that our guitarist sometimes does in certain songs to just add an atmosphere. It really is just a really beautiful sound. It's kind of like Laura's voice in a lot of ways. It's kind of this haunting and ethereal kind of beautiful, pure tone. So I think it really adds a lot.
Is she going to bust out the melodica too?
She is, yeah. Because nothing takes over an electric guitar solo like a melodica solo.
I love me a melodica.
Yeah, it's a really versatile instrument, surprisingly. It doesn't seem like it would be, but it really does have it fills a good space in a lot of different songs. I think it's very complementary to a guitar sound. So that might be why I feel at least like it really fills out the sound.
The Made Us Strangers album, that's the new one, came out last year. That got you guys a Canadian Folk Music Award for new/emerging artist. Was that weird to have been a band since 2009 and then get that?
A little bit, but not truly. We looked at a lot of the other new emerging artist winners, and those people have certainly gone on to do some pretty amazing things. And, if our career is in any way following that arc, then we're pretty happy with that. It seems like just a nice bit of recognition. There's not necessarily a lot of things that come from that particular award. It's wonderful to have it. It's wonderful to be the recipient, but it's not like everybody knows that you got it. it's more like the people in the industry know that you got it. Yeah. The folk industry, which however large that may be, but it's important, and that really means a lot to us. So that kind of thing where you can say to somebody, oh yes, this is where we're at in our career, and they understand it, and then they perhaps want to be involved now, and that's really wonderful.
To be recognized by people whose lives are immersed in that's something.
Honestly, we were really surprised to win. We were nominated for 2, and the fact that we won anything, we were like, is this a weird joke? Like, were we punked in some way? Because the people that were up for the nomination are really just super fantastic performers and artists and songwriters, and so we didn't expect it at all. You kind of think, okay, yeah, we're like the dark horse in that particular run, so there's not a chance that we're going to win it.
Yeah, well, the other nomination was for vocal group, and that too is a significant thing.
Yeah, the people too that were nominated for that are just a fantastic bunch. But I do actually really appreciate that nomination, because I do think that's something that we really strive to make special, is the vocal stuff, the harmonies together, and something that we work on a lot. I'm a huge fan of the Beach Boys and the Beatles, and like the harmonizing that happened between those groups, just Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and harmony seems to be such an integral part of the music that I love. So it's really nice to get that recognition.
And the album was recorded honorably. No clicks, no pitch correction. Some of the cuts were live off the floor. That's awesome. Yeah,
that was something that we've always kind of wanted to do and never felt like we were skilled enough to do. Because you can, when you're doing overdubs and things like that, you can kind of just keep going until you get that take that really does fit. And, obviously, when you're doing like a live band off-the-floor performance, you don't just do one take necessarily. Sometimes they're doing a bunch of takes, but everybody's got to be in that same vibe at that same time to make it really work. The fact that we're at a place where we can do that, I think that's a good space to be in.
Yeah.
I think it means that our live shows have really gotten to a good spot, too, so that's a really nice place to be.
A while back, you guys worked with the Hart House String Ensemble. On the Friday bill, the Ballroom Thieves, they're bringing the Maine Youth Rock Orchestra. So maybe kind of the same vibe. How was it working with an ensemble like that?
It was daunting. I'm just a self-taught guy on all the instruments that I do play, so I was like, oh my gosh, there's sheet music involved, and these people actually know what they're doing. It was very interesting. It's also very interesting to be watching a conductor for your tempo as opposed to just listening for the drummer to give you that tempo. Like, it was a different feel, but I liked it. It was really magical, and I assume that the Maine Youth Rock Orchestra, I think it's going to be kind of a magical thing to watch them perform as well. I think it'll be a pretty amazing kind of spectacle.
You are a published author, and you do have a novel out. Is that the genesis of the name, the Young Novelists?
Actually, the genesis of the name, it comes from the fact that I kind of said to myself, I have to focus on either music or writing, and I decided to focus on music. And so the album that I released, that was a solo album, it was called Good Night, Young Novelist. Uh-huh. And that's the album that ended up being, the reason that the band formed is because we were touring that album. And that's where the name The Young Novelists comes from. And then it was only later that I actually found, it got a little bit easier to do all the administrative and creative things involved with the band. So I was able to have a little more time to kind of go back to something that I had written and then do a big edit and finish it up and get it published. And that was a wonderful thing to be able to go back to it.
The Mall of Small Frustrations.
Yeah. And I'm still now, I'm doing some more writing and here and there, as you write songs and then sometimes you write a little bit of prose and you kind of go back and forth a bit, but I'm finding more time for it. So I think the next thing that comes out will be another album, but I think shortly after that I might have another novel as well. So that'll be it's nice to be able to put your feet in both creative sides because they're certainly very different.
I haven't read the one that you've got out. I went and looked at it on Amazon, and based on the synopsis, it sounds like that sucker should be optioned for the movies.
I invite anybody who has the ability to option things for movies to contact me, and I would be totally fine with that. That would be great. I would like that a lot.
You're a small town guy.
I am, yeah. Town I grew up in was a town of 1,500 people.
People here are going to relate to you.
I hope so. I mean, I certainly do write from that experience. I write a lot about relationships as well. There's a lot of family relationships, a lot of love relationships, but, friend relationships as well.
And Laura's from Peterborough in Ontario, one of the hippest towns around.
It is actually a really great town. We visit there quite often because that's where Laura's parents still are, and it's got a great cultural scene. It's got a lot of art, and it's got a lot of music, and there's a lot of galleries to visit, and there's some really great museums and parks and things. It's a pretty fantastic town.
I've been to Peterborough. I like it there. I haven't been to your
You've
hometown.
been there? That's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty cool town all around, yeah.
Should we talk about the kid? Do you want?
He's actually on tour with us right now.
He seems to be into superheroes.
Yeah, he's a big enjoyer of superheroes, that's for sure. I know in that one video, he comes running up on stage and he's wearing a Superman shirt.
Yeah.
And I think he's trying to protect us from the crowd in some way.
Saw another one with us where he had a Spider-Man shirt on.
He's kind of like me in that way. I mean, I'm certainly a big fan. I have a big comic book collection from when I was younger. But yeah, it's been actually kind of amazing to be touring with him. And he's actually going to be at Roots on the River as well. So that's like the end of this tour. We were there last year for the festival, and my gosh, we really loved being there. It was such a beautiful time and such a beautiful place, and the audience at the festival was really just fantastic. And yeah, we're hoping for just more of the same when we come back this time. It's a lovely place to be.
That's kind of a bonus that you guys have touring. You get to see so many places, meet so many people.
Yeah, and you get to see them, I think, a different way than you might if you were road tripping. You stop and you play a show in a venue or in somebody's house, and you get to see really how the people there live and how they have friendships and relationships and things like that. It's kind of wonderful. Get to meet some people and get to know them a little bit. We did this house concert tour in northern Saskatchewan. We went to a whole bunch of towns that I've never been to. A lot of them I'd never even heard of, but they're really great places to be, and the people are just so welcoming, and they love to come out and see music, and it's just a cool way to go around the country.
How does it affect your worldview?
I think it just gives you more things on in a lot of ways. You can sort of talk about what it's like for a Saskatchewan farmer versus a Manitoba farmer versus an Albertan farmer. They all have their different experiences just in that one in agriculture. And then people who are involved in mining up in the northern parts of the country, and people who are working in Calgary as consultants. You get to meet all those different kinds of people and learn about what they care about, and it's kind of amazing how much it's simpatico. A lot of people doing different things in different fields. They care about the same things and often in the same ways. And the fact that they can sometimes relate to the songs that I'm writing is wonderful and maybe a little bit surprising, just because, I don't know, it seems like the more specific you get in songwriting, the more general it applies for whatever reason. And I guess it means that a lot of people have, similar experiences when they're involved in relationships, and, small towns are really just communities. So whatever community you happen to be part of, whether that's your job or whether that's the people you live near, there's a lot of similarities between how people interact with each other. And so it does really give you a sense of there's a lot more that ties us together than pushes us apart, that's for sure.
We've been talking with Graydon James. He's with the Young Novelists. They're going to be playing Roots on the River Saturday, June 4th. It's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. I'm glad we're going to be able to spend the whole time there. It's really wonderful.
I'm going to take us out on a song called Couldn't Be Any Worse. This is also from the Made Us Strangers album. Anything you want to say about this one?
The one thing that I'll say about this one is that I actually won a songwriting award for this song, which was really wonderful. There's like a plaque on the award. It says the name of the award is the Colleen Peterson Songwriting Award. Then it says my name, and then it says the name of the song. So it says Graydon James, Couldn't Be Any Worse. That's the award that I got.
Well done. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Oh, thanks very much for talking with me. I really appreciate it.
And looking forward to a great set.
Yeah, it's going to be a wonderful festival.
I'd been away for hours, when I met you by the church. You recently been hurt, your face still wet with tears. I pointed to your bruises and said it looked quite bad. You smiled, but you were sad, and days turned into years. We couldn't be any worse, any worse. We could not be any worse for each other. I took you back to my place. The sun was coming up. I bandaged your cuts as you critiqued my art. And I was most surprised when you put your lips on mine, and we were eye to eye and heart to heart.